Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to MPP's My channel. My name is Alina Zira, and today I'm going to be doing a book review for you guys. It's titled Kenny and the Dragon. Really interesting, isn't it? Even the cover already makes you wonder, what could it be about? Like, what is the story, We also have the synopsis back here, and of course it tells you kind of like the surface level of the whole story. But in order to read all of them, you'll have to buy the book. And it's okay, it's not that pricey. Anyway, thank you for joining me today in this book review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and stay tuned till the last part, because this is going to be quite a long video of me explaining about the book and telling you why you should read the book and why the book is just, interesting in general. So, let's go. So, in this book, we have 6 different main characters. First is Kenny, the rabbit, who's very much a bookworm. He loves reading books, he loves gaining knowledge, and he definitely has quite a thing for poetry and all those literature stuff. Next, we have Kenny's father, Kenny's mother, and then Grahame, one of our main character in this book that plays a big role, and he's also Kenny's best friend. And then we have George, who is also one of Kenny's best friend, that Kenny have been friend longer than Grahame. But we'll see what happened in the rocky friendship between George and Grahame in the process of them being friends. Since both of them are Kenny's friend, so why not just make up a friendship between them, right? We'll see what happens. There are a few events that we can take from this book and learn a few valuable life lessons. For example, the first event, which is the first time Kenny met with Grahame. So the story goes that Kenny just come back from his school after cycling on his old bike, classic. And after he arrived at home, his father started talking to the family during dinner time about how he saw a huge dragon on their family land. And Kenny being a bookworm, he had read a lot of books, a lot of genre types of books that talks about different topics, and one of those books, specifically a bestiary, a royal bestiary, talks about dragons. And in that particular bestiary, dragons are described to be atrocious. Dragons are described to be rough. They're very, generally just evil and bad. They kill knights who try to save a beautiful princesses, and then, traditionally they'll eat the princesses, and everyone dies. At the very least, that's how the story / bestiary describes it. But because of this, and also because of this, Kenny had in his mind, he thought, I read the bestiary and it described dragons to be bad. I want to see for myself if this dragon is really as bad as what I've read. So, being himself the curious little bookworm, he built up his courage and asked permission from his mother to go to the family land to see for himself the dragon, the mighty dragon. And so his mother let him go, but for a few requirements, which includes that he has to finish his homeworks, his chores, etc. And he finished those things and quickly went to the place. Now, you might be thinking, Kenny did a bad decision. That's a bad decision of going there by himself. Not to mention, when he went there, it's already closing up to midnight, which means there was barely anybody there, right? But that's okay, because when he arrived, nothing bad happened. Good thing, nothing bad happened. Alhamdulillah. And anyway, After he arrived there, met Grahame. Grahame was actually sleeping. Oh, by the way, Grahame is the dragon, as I already mentioned in earlier part of this video, that Grahame is the name of the dragon that I'm going to talk about right now. And so Grahame is sleeping during the time Kenny met him. And he actually accidentally woke him up. And so after Grahame wake up, Kenny was obviously, like even us, will be scared because it's a dragon. We would expect the worst because we thought dragon will try to kill us, will try to, just let out fire from their mouth. And well, Kenny was prepared. But the funny thing is, Grahame was different. He did not attack Kenny. In fact, he literally, talked to Kenny. He had a conversation with Kenny, and apparently he's really nice. He's poetic. He likes to read poems. He likes literature, which is exactly the opposite of being a dragon. And so this particular event, the lesson that we can learn is basically to first never trust a rumor, because well, some rumors are true, but some aren't, which means that we always have to be cautious about rumors and always doesn't set our mind straight away as, oh, this rumor is correct. No, that's not the case, and we should always think that this rumor is just a rumor, which means it can be either right or wrong. Okay? The next lesson, which is the second lesson that we can learn, is never judge a book by its cover. Because honestly, like I said before, dragon, like what's been described in the Royal Beast Diary, are described as a very rough, evil, atrocious kind of creature. But Grahame proves to us that those descriptions are totally wrong, which means that's just it. Never judge a book by its cover. That person or that creature might look like they can harm you, but they can also be your friend. They can also turn out to be a really nice person, a really nice creature, a friendly one. So, never judge a book by its cover. Next event that we can also learn a valuable lesson from is this one particular event where George, like I mentioned earlier, George, who is George? Okay, let me refresh that for you. So George is Kenny's friend, and George is an old kind of guy. He's a bookkeeper. He works in a bookshop that he owned, and Kenny regularly comes to his bookshop to borrow some books and even sometimes, take some of his book. Well, that's because George let him take all those books anyway. So basically, George was also not just a bookkeeper. He's also not just a businessman. He is also a former royal knight. Wow, that's amazing. A former royal knight? Really? Now working as a businessman in a bookshop? Well, that's interesting. I know, right? So basically, the story goes that George had to, one day, the king sent George an important letter. And so George read the letter, and the letter wrote that the king heard the story about there's a dragon in I'd say in the place that they're living in the place that the king is ruling over. And so the king grew concerned because of this, because we all know how people perceive dragon, except for Kenny. And so what George had to do is basically the king asked George, as a former royal knight, to kill the dragon like how George used to do. Well, of course, George used to kill other dragons, but not Grahame, obviously, since Grahame is some other new dragon that just appeared in the story, right? Anyway, George had to do it because after all, this is a royal quest. This is an order basically from the king. How could he, as a former knight, as a citizen, to refuse something that's from the royal? And obviously, Kenny doesn't know about this yet. What happened is that Kenny was disappointed because how could his best friend George had to kill his new best friend Grahame, and it's basically unimaginable to him. So what happened is that Kenny basically tell George to not kill Grahame, since Grahame means a lot to him, because Grahame is his new best friend. Why would his other best friend kill his other best friend? And so basically he tells George how he feels about the whole royal quest, and George basically understands. In the end of the story, George actually doesn't kill Grahame. There's something else happened in the end, okay? But I'm not going to tell you further into the story yet, but just to, a spoiler a little bit, that George did not end up killing Grahame. But what the lesson that we can all learn from this event is that although something may seem like an obligatory, for example, you have parents, and in Islam, any order from parents, as long as they do not go against the Sharia, you have to follow what they say. For example, as a Muslim woman, as a Muslim girl like me, if my parents tell me to cover my awrat, I have to do it, because covering your awrat is an obligatory in the religion. It's not something that goes against the Sharia. So as a Muslim, as a good daughter, I have to follow what they say. But if they were to tell me to do something bad, for example, they want me to take off my hijab and show off my hair, then in that sense, I should not follow what they tell me to do, because although it's an order from my parents who I need to follow their order, but since their order is going against the Sharia and it's not permissible, then I have to refuse, and it's okay. It's not considered a sin to refuse something like that, because it goes against the Sharia. So in this case, George refused the royal quest because he did not want to do the wrong thing, which is killing a dragon who is innocent. Let me tell you, Grahame did not do anything. Even in his previous life, he did some of those bad things, but now he did not do anything. He did not kill anybody. Now, as an older dragon, he did not kill anybody in the town. So why do he deserve to be killed by people in the town? He did not do those kinds of things he did in the past, and he already said that he did not want to repeat what he did. And so what's the wrong here, really? So in that sense, the lesson is basically, if you have to do something of an obligatory, something of an order from someone important like your parents, if it doesn't go against the Sharia, you will have to do it. It's an obligatory. But if it's the other way around, then please don't do it, and it's okay to refuse. Okay, last but not least, I'm sorry, we have to end the video now. At least closing to the end of the video, that I have to tell you the last lesson and the last event that I think will teach us something important to apply in our daily life. So the last thing doesn't have anything to do with the last part of the story, but it has something to do with our lives, obviously, which is the friendship between George and Kenny with Grahame, and Kenny with many other people. So, like I said, George is an old man, okay? He has a huge age gap between him and Kenny. That's one. Another thing is that Grahame, he's a dragon, and Kenny is a rabbit. The fact that they're so different because of their species, including their age, same as George, Kenny's and Grahame's age are very much different. There's a big gap between it. But why do they end up becoming such a good friend? That's because Kenny is not a picky friender, right? He's not picky when it comes to choosing who he wants to be friends with. And this makes it a good thing, because when in life you cannot be too picky with who you want to be friend with. Sure, you have to be picky with who you are close with, but the main point here is that I want to bring the point that we have to befriend everyone. It doesn't have to be older, it doesn't have to be the same age as us, it can be older or younger, different races, different religion. It's important to be friend with everyone, be nice to everyone. It's because in this life we have a huge diversity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already created us in different with different background, different religion, different races, and the simple reason Allah made us that way is because Allah wants to teach us to befriend these other people and to create harmony within these different diversity that exists within the world. And that's just it. That's what happened. The fact that Kenny as a rabbit can befriend a dragon like Grahame and be such a good friend is a good thing. And the fact that they don't care about the fact that they are different species and different ages, which I think it's a really interesting thing. Even I myself, I have a lot of senior friends. I'm not really close with my juniors, but I am close with my seniors. Not really close with the people same age as me, with my peers, but at least I'm close with a lot of people who at least older than me. But that just shows that we have to befriend everyone. And of course, choosing friends are important, and make sure you choose the right friend, because befriend everyone but never be too close with people who can harm you, who can be toxic to you. Make sure you choose a good friend to befriend with, and make sure you are clear who you want to befriend with and who you want to be in life. Because if you want to be a nice person, befriend a nice person. If you want to be a bad person, I guess you just befriend a bad person. So all in all, be a good friend and also choose the right friend to befriend with. Alright, we are already at the end of this video. How do you guys like my book review? I know it's kind of boring, a little bit, off the track. I don't really speak with script, honestly. I don't have any script in front of me. I just speak from my heart.
Okay, I just realized this takes too long, so let's just skip to the end.
Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to MPP's My channel, and don't forget to check out other videos in our channel, because we have a lot of book review that was made by my other members and friends who are amazing. They make so much better review than me, so definitely check them out. All in all the best for you guys, and see you guys in the next book review or movie review from MPP's My channel. See ya!